And it's live. So welcome back, everyone, to the Spiritus Center. So everyone say yay back to the internet. Yay!
Yay!
Having a live party.
Yay! I can't believe I'm here.
And today we're going to be talking
Mercury.
about
Yes.
alternative. We're going to be talking about alternative health or medicine and psychotherapy. I know it sounds boring, but in fact, this is part of our health. If you want to live healthy, you want to live long and prosper, you're going to have to learn how to live healthy. So let's go around the room and everyone introduce themselves and then what is their state of health today? Are they feeling well? Any sickness going on? Starting from Michael. Let's start with you.
Today was an interesting day. I went to the orthodontist, and everything seemed to be going cool. Um,
Yeah.
I just had to get, elastics. But then I went to go get a cleaning. They said I couldn't get a cleaning because I had some type of period periodontal or gum disease or something.
I've had that, yeah.
But the thing is, they really made it like. I understand and you need to be aware and take things seriously, but it's like they were all trying to make me scared of, like, I
I hate to
mean,
say this, but I could tell you why they did that. Because periodontal disease is something that everybody gets. You just need to floss and use mouthwash more often. But
mhm.
everybody gets it, and it's a really expensive treatment that isn't fully covered by most dental plans. So I can tell you right now, if you don't have dental insurance at all, you're looking at like $600 per quarter of your mouth.
I know. Like
It,
we do have insurance.
yeah, but
Um,
they make you afraid so that you'll get the treatment because they can make a lot of money off of it. Pretty much, that's it.
I swear I felt that. I don't know how to describe it, but like I felt almost like that type of thing, like when someone's trying to bend you into a certain decision or whatever. Almost like peer
Trying to
pressure,
manipulate
like,
you into making that choice, yeah.
yeah. So besides that, I don't believe I have a disease, and I brushed my teeth vigorously when I got home, and flossed and everything, and I'll probably start using bananas to make my teeth whiter. But besides that, all's well. Can't complain. You know. So sorry, I tried to keep that as brief as I could, but had a lot going on today.
Sorry, Andy, I muted you because you were typing and it was getting like it was really loud.
Have you tried brushing your teeth with like a combination of salt and baking soda? I've heard that's pretty good. And flossing, yes. I hate to have to floss, but if you've got a periodontal disease, then it probably would be a good idea to do that too.
Yeah,
My dad was saying that my grandfather used baking soda and hydrogen peroxide, and he brushed his teeth with that because he had the same issue, and he never, after he was diagnosed with it first, he never had an issue with it after that.
what
Probably
is
right.
that? Baking soda and peroxide?
Yeah,
The food grade kind?
like hydrogen peroxide, like what I was assuming, like what you would use for healing cuts and things, but
It's got to be
um,
like the food grade kind,
probably I don't know. I haven't used it.
I don't think you want
because
to
you've got,
swallow it, but
of course,
Yeah, no,
of
no.
course not, of course. My digestive system's sensitive enough, but I love that,
Okay.
Jenna. Thanks for now I
So
don't
what?
feel now I don't feel so alone.
Okay. So what about you, Jenna? What about your health and going on? Introduce
Um,
yourself.
Hi, wait, I can turn it on. Hi, I'm Jenna. Um, I'm doing good today. Yesterday, I, for some reason, couldn't eat anything because every time I tried to eat something, my stomach hurt really bad. I don't know why. That happens sometimes, though. So today it hasn't been horrible, but yeah, that's how I feel. That's about it.
Okay, let me see. What about you, Woody? Woody?
Well, yeah, I'm here. It takes me a while to find the buttons to turn the camera and the mic on. I'm doing okay considering my age, and I'm still alive, so I must be okay at my age. Uh, I still suffer mainly from depression, somewhat, but I have a problem. I have to eat immense amounts of sugar and caffeine to stay awake. But other than that, I'm not doing too bad. Uh, I'm I'm 71, and my father died when he was 46. So I think I almost feel like I'm overextended.
Oh wow.
You look good. You don't look like you're 71, I can tell you that.
Well, if
Not at
I
all.
had the resolution turned up high, so you could really see all the wrinkles in my face, and if the lighting were a little better, let's see. I don't know whether I have a. Let's see if I can get a. Let's try something here. See what this. Oh no! Yeah, oh, hey, no. Uh, yes, now you can see what I really look like. Yeah.
Oh,
It's Emperor Palpatine. I'm kidding. No, you
okay.
really don't look that old.
I'm okay for now.
Okay, what about you, Deanna?
And I'm so glad you saved me for last. Um, I'm doing pretty good, just getting ready, prepping for like foot surgery still. It's such a pain in the butt, and I still have to like wait for doctor's appointments. It's so annoying. But tomorrow's my psychiatrist visit, so yay! I get to vent with her with all the annoying things that happen in my life. Because I don't like to bother any of my friends.
Oh wow.
She's gonna get like 2 hours worth of it nonstop. And I think
Oh,
this time I'm finally gonna let it all out to a point where I won't even go back to her.
aha. All right.
Well, if it helps, you know.
Now this is for me. Hey everyone, this is Andy, and today I felt a little bit. I actually felt very energetic today. In fact, I didn't even sleep very much. It just last night I only slept like 5 or 6 hours, and I still have like a lot of energy. I don't know why, but that's usually due to my sun gazing practice I've been doing. And so, like in terms of my past history, I've been through a lot of horrible stuff. So I'll save that for you later.
Alright.
All right, so now let's start the discussion real quick. Since Michael, you brought up something really good about your almost like your gum history. That's like somewhat like an infection. I don't know if it's a real
Yeah,
infection
they called it inflammation.
because like the thing is that whenever I look at how the medical industry on how they treat things versus like for example the way how the alternative health people like Reiki or Qigong or anything, how they heal people, I see a lot of major differences in like how like we utilize the human body.
Mm-hmm.
Because the thing is that's what I just don't get is like how is that one side is called alternative health or alternative medicine versus the other one is what we call medicine when they are part of the same spectrum. It's pretty weird. Even I personally don't get it. Any ideas?
Well,
They're
the reason why it's called alternative medicine is because medicine is what doctors use to prescribe to you to supposedly fix the problem, when in actuality, the medicine that they give you only causes the problem even more. So the reason why they call it alternative medicine is for the people who don't want the side effects of actual medicine. Like, for example, there was like one time I was on this medicine and it was supposed to help with my seizures, but it really affected my education, and it affected my eating, it affected my personality, it affected everything about me. But it fixed the problem, it fixed the seizures. I stopped having seizures because of that medicine, but it just ruined everything else.
So let me. This is something that, like, Eugenia, I don't know if you know this
By the way,
very well, or if there's another way to explain it. Because the thing is, it's when it comes to Reiki. Let's talk about Reiki because a lot of this is a very popular form of healing that a lot of Americans they do. Is that let's take the experience that I saw from Michael when you try healing with Reiki. It's like when you lay your hand on me and you say that you're transferring energy to me, it's almost like as though I sense inside my body all of a sudden like this moment of resurfacing of emotions all of a sudden.
yeah,
And somehow the energy is like I can sense like it's going up and down, but then it doesn't seem to make sense. It's like where does my emotions come from, and how come is this part of Reiki, and where's the healing? You know, it's like I know there's a problem, but how does you opening my channel or sending love energy to me will help me like recover from whatever traumatic experience I have, or for example, or let me see here. Or like, so I have like a back pain, which resulted from my psychological trauma. Like, how does it work?
I'm personally, I think I'm trying to figure out exactly what you're asking, because I feel like you've kind of meant to ask in
Yeah,
several different ways, but really it's kind of gone in a couple of different ways. But
it's like this. How does like the usage of energy help heal your psychological trauma?
well, this is the way that I see it. So what I was going to go into, the way that I see it is that, I mean, we're all energy. Everything in this plane, everything in this existence, we are all made up of energy. Our thoughts are energy. The neural processes that have to go on in our brains in order to have a thought, in order to do anything, is actually literally energy. It's actually electrical. So that using energy, using someone's own energy to try and alter the energy of someone else, I feel like in altering the basic energy of that, you're able to heal it. But I mean, when you talk about alternative medicine in general, Deanna, I think you touched on a good point, but what I normally see as alternative medicine would just, in very basics, be anything that is not accepted by the scientific world as a medical practice. Like when you look at what you get in hospitals, there's a specific standard of care that's universal throughout the world of, you know, this is treatment for this is medical treatment for this. But when you step outside of that scientific norm, I think that's when you get into alternative medicines like Reiki and herbal healing medicine and things like that, and holistic medicines that people don't, you know, widely accept as a scientific method of healing or a scientific method of medicine.
Okay, so
Like for example, Reiki would be for energy. Acupuncture uses pressure points. Holistic medicines use different herbs and things like that, and there are different avenues of it. And I think Reiki is just one that focuses on our chi, on our physical energy.
so let me see here. Because I'm trying to figure out like how is that when we're both energy but we are functioning at a different level? Well, how does that affect us both as a healer and the person receiving the healing?
Well, how is any kind of energy affected if you use it? the person who's using their energy to effect a change in someone else's energy, they will successfully affect that change, and that will be the effect within the energy of the person they're trying to heal, and the healer will then be drained of energy.
Okay, so I think I'm beginning to make sense of what you're trying to say here, because I read an article up on my college a couple. It's like last week when I was doing my Zilchin community centered learning. I did touch upon what we call quantum cognition, where the role of you trying to manipulate matter within the person's like spine or electrical firing has a lot to do with your intentions that the healer puts in. And the person who receives the healing must also have the same mindset.
Yes, basically both people have to fully believe in what's going on and what they're doing in order for it to work, and I fully subscribe to that theory.
Because here's what I noticed is that in order for a healing to happen, that in order to actually help the client be able to move forward in the healing process, the healer must first have a very strong mindset. In fact, it takes a lot to be a healer. Like, your mindset has to be very strong to the point where you have a firm belief that no matter what happens, that person who you're healing will get healed. And the person who receives the healing will say, I believe that I will be healed, in order for both of them to get to the same thing, because according to the quantum cognition rule is that everything has to be in sync with one another, and that when everything is in sync, everything below it follows. That includes your brain, your microtubules, like nerves and neurons, like everything.
What?
So that's what I was thinking.
Cut out there at the end.
Okay. Did you cut off? Did I cut off somewhere? Did I cut off somewhere? Can anyone hear me?
Can hear you now.
I can hear you.
Okay. So yeah.
Hear you, I can.
Okay. So going back from what I talked about is that when it comes to like learning how to do what healing is, you have to first of all you have to learn how to believe. As a healer, you have to firmly believe that the client can recover. And the client must also believe in the same thing in order for both of them to heal. Which is what, like, I'm trying to, I so far get what's going on here. I know how, like, even, like, for example, some disease like depression, major depression, let's take that one. Because a lot of people tend to, because of the malnutrition that you get in this world, you usually get depressed once in a while. And so, but then there's a lot of factors involved when depression is going on. Like, you can be malnutritious, you can lack sunlight, you can lack social relationship. But I noticed that when the moment I've read another post where if you were to spend your time, for example, hugging another individual, you also, what do you call it? You gain a hormone named oxytocin that will release what we call antidepressants or anti-anxiety.
Yeah, if you hug someone for 20 seconds.
And it also, like, it helps the trust bond, and it, like, after you finish, you feel better and happier, which I'm pretty sure most of us know by experience.
Some of you guys who are in relationship
You can do a heart hug where you hug heart
but
to
like
heart.
here's what I don't. Here's what I want to actually know is how is cuddling a way of hugging a person to the point where you can lose your depression?
Oh,
You know,
bro, have
like,
you ever cuddled with someone before?
Well, I cuddle with my girlfriend Deanna all the time, but I personally, like, I wonder if I'm benefiting, from this.
Well,
It's an
Good,
amazing
well,
experience.
when you're with that person and you have that bond with them and that energy, that bond with them, and you actually have that physical touch, you're in this safe zone. And, like, I don't know, you just feel completely relaxed and like nothing in the world matters and nothing's going to get to you because at the end of the day, you are with that person that you want to be with in that moment and everything is perfect. Like, even if nothing's perfect, everything is perfect because their arms around you and that physical touch perpetuates that emotion and builds it. And so it kind of, I can see how that would release an antioxidant or antidepressant and then, sorry, and I can see
Totally.
how over time, that can actually help someone and heal them. But I think
Because,
mental health isn't something that can simply be healed by a hug or by Reiki or something like that. It's something that
okay, so I know that hugging, for example, is like me doing like this, like that, versus cuddling is like you're actually like letting that
talking
person.
about the physical act of hugging someone. But what I'm talking about is the actual act of embracing someone with your energy. Because even if you only physically, hold on, let me turn on my camera. Even if you're only physically just like doing this, if you are actually embracing that person with your energy, you're still giving them a hug, and that's, and you're still physically contacting them, and that perpetuates that energy, and that's what causes that reaction.
Totally.
And so, like,
Especially if you really get into the whole cuddling thing, like when you're like literally wrapped around that person. I mean, not like you're like squeezing them to, but like,
oh,
like you just okay. There's not that much of control, but it's not like you're possessing the person, but like that closeness and that holding and that sensation is really comforting and reassuring.
so like the thing, Michael, is like, of course, I know cuddling, hugging, and all those stuff is like, it's only 5 minutes, or if you're really lucky,
It just depends. It just depends. I don't mean to cut you off. I'm saying like it just depends on your connection with the person. If you're really like, I can tell you like from cuddling, if it's really truly that person, it's even beyond like sexual pleasure. If there's this real heart to heart connection, it's just like this,
Yeah.
And so it's just
Exactly.
it you don't have to try. You don't have to you just be yourself, And
So, like, but then, Michael, here's another thing. It's like, cuddling and all those stuff, it's only, like, lasted 20 minutes, or usually, like, if you're very lucky, if you're in a relationship, you might as well count that an hour or 2 hours. But then there's some practices where it takes up to 8 hours, like tantric sex, or sex magic, for example. Like, how is that going to biologically benefit you? Because I keep hearing that that in some books, even sacred books, they said that if you spend your time in one sacred sex or tantric sex session, you might as well just go straight to enlightenment or awakening, to the point where you can activate certain different parts of your abilities, which I just don't even have any idea how does that work.
Well, you are basically. I don't know, Jenna, you want to take a shot at that?
No, all I was going to say is I could never answer that because I don't think I've ever actually experienced what you're talking about.
Like, I did experience it, but then even I tried explaining it, but then half the time I just have no idea.
What did you experience, Andy?
Okay, let me try to explain this in the short term, because somehow I did tell this. It's almost like as though when I hug a girl and I practice tantric sex, it's almost like as though I had a sense that all of a sudden I felt, oh my God, there's sense of oneness all of a sudden, and I say, I'm not here, I'm not there, but I'm just here, right now. And then all of a sudden, when I got to that point, I felt like my body is tumbling into a dark tunnel that I have no idea about, but somehow I experienced myself going down and down and down until one day all of a sudden, bam, bliss. All of a sudden, and then when I look around and say, uh-oh, where's my ego? Who am I right now? It's almost like as though someone stripped my identity to the point where I was like a 4-year-old child looking at myself and saying, is this my hand? Is this my body? Where am I? You know?
You can have experiences like that.
And then after that, it got to the point where I was like, once I passed through the business, all of a sudden I sensed that I know everything. All of a sudden I felt like I can be able to sense everything around me, like as though I never had before. Like for example, if I were to talk to you right now, I can, like back then, I couldn't feel anything, but after that experience, I can figure out what's your intention just by talking to you. It's that easy. Like you don't even have to say you don't have to carry on the whole conversation with me, but somehow I can be able to like figure you out from the very start already, and I knew what to do with you.
Well, I can say, as far as, well, I mean, to be honest, I haven't had sexual relations with that many women in that sense, but from the experiences that I've had, there's certain moments, if you can reach to that point, and it's not even really about how long you last. I mean, it can be, you know. I mean, it should be enjoyable at least, you know. You know, the person should be enjoying it. You know, she shouldn't be like texting on her phone. You know,
come on.
going. You know, but what I'm saying is, if you do get to that point, and you both reach the point of climaxing, and you're able to both just kind of look in each other's eyes or certain things, there's this moment where it's like you spiritually die, and everything you thought you were, the woman almost pulls it out of you, or whoever your partner is, pulls it out of you and shows you like your whole ego almost dies in a sense, and you go through this like mummification process with love. If there was truly a love connection there, and it wasn't just lust, you experience that moment, and because it's so intimate, everyone's secret is revealed. So literally, not only in the sense are you literally naked, but symbolically you're naked, and you just revealed your secrets to everybody, and there's a trust that begins there, and you can no longer really fake it with that person. It can only be real in that sense.
Okay.
Once again, that's just my opinion.
That is just only one alternative medicine method, but there's also another form which many people tend to regard this as a common treatment, meditation, where your meditation teacher will like make you have to sit right across from the teacher, and then after that, when you're sitting right across from her, she told you to take a breath in and breath out, and then just letting yourself calm away. And all of a sudden, like you get the same experience. You know, it's almost like I did that when I was 16 or about 15, where I also felt the same way as you would go on a what do you call it, on a sexual magic ritual. However, the only difference is that when I started doing sleep yoga along with it, I found out that it's almost like as though the dreams that I experienced all of a sudden felt so real to me. Like it's almost like as though it never felt so real to me compared to the last time. Like as though I can be able to touch the things that I was there and feel it every moment. But then I couldn't even explain how in the world did that happen.
This was during the sexual magic ritual?
No, it's during a time when I was doing sleep yoga, where after a 5 or 6 hour meditation, I can go directly for sleep, and then next thing you know, like I was in a dream, I sensed that I was like right there at that moment, at that particular place, but then when something scary, I knew that it's coming, like I knew it from deep inside my gut. And all of a sudden, when that happens, bam, I woke up like as though I just got popped out of the nightmare. It was that real to the point where I blew up. Like, I was like, is this part of the side effect of meditation? Like, you start seeing everything more vividly? Or is it something that has been there for, like, I don't know how many years, like, or is it something that everyone was born with, but meditation actually helps you, like, eliminate some of the mind's barriers and then just, you know, let whatever beneath come up. Any thoughts on this?
I don't know. What do you think, Woody?
Woody, what about you? I heard you're pretty muted already.
Well, could you repeat the question?
It's like, what was your take on this, on meditation? Does it affect you by making you more aware of yourself, or does it just eliminate some of the distractions inside your head so that what do you call it? Activity rises up.
Well, it temporarily makes me more relaxed, but in the long term, it doesn't seem to clear the chatter in my head, and I'm constantly trying to figure things out, and there's stuff going on in my head, problems that I'm working on that I'm trying to figure out solutions for, and in my personal life and also in mechanical things. The computer has been driving me crazy. That, unfortunately, when the computer acts up, that can take up as much as 3 or 4 hours of the day trying to figure out why the NVIDIA graphics drivers keep causing my computer not to boot and stuff like that. And I don't know, I think the computer actually is the device of the dark side to keep us all focused on something mechanical that isn't really that important. But when that gets me upset, then I start screaming at the computer, and that gets my roommate upset, and he starts screaming at me. And it's meditation sometimes will relax me a little bit more, break that cycle up a little bit. But, I'm not that good of a meditator yet. I'm still working on basic. The one that seems to work best for me is to just trying to keep very still and just concentrate on noticing my breathing. That's one of the very elementary meditation techniques. But I'm trying to get myself to do that at least every day, if not twice a day. I'm not really an expert at meditation.
Well, there's a lot of guided meditations online that you can.
You know, that's something that is, you know, like every time whenever, like, after I talk to you guys, like how you show me how good it is, And I try to implement this in some of the places where I volunteer and work with children. Somehow, like every single time whenever I hug a child, or whenever I teach them meditation or yoga, some places they were like telling me they have a big deal about it. So I'm teaching them some kind of like.
And speaking of technical problems, your audio is very broken, and when it's on, it's very distorted. Do you have any? Yeah. Do you have any settings to turn off automatic muting or turn off expansion? It sounds like something is turning up your volume very loud in between your words, and then when you're not talking, it cuts you off prematurely, so some of your words are not coming out at all.
Okay, can you guys hear me better now?
That's better, yeah.
Okay, so that's the thing that I just don't get. Like, when it comes to the medical stuff that you guys mentioned about, every single time whenever I teach yoga or even meditation or even just hugging a child, like half the time they just don't seem to actually allow you to hug that child, or like they take that almost like a personal thing. When like in some agencies, like for example I work for, they usually let you hug all you want with the child, and the child hugs you back. But then there are some that are like no. Just like what you said, Jenna, it's like hugging really gives a lot of good stuff to even children, especially children. But then, how come then they would not let you hug them? It's weird.
Say that last part again. How come they don't let you hug them?
Yeah, like most of these hospitals or agencies, they don't let you hug children.
I don't know. I guess I've never seen that, because I thought that nurses, I mean, you know, I don't think children normally hug their nurses at every, you know, chance, but if you get to know a kid for a while, they're not going to, like, deter you from hugging them. But I don't think that stems from, like, them not trying to give care to the kids. I think that stems from the fact that, you know, you don't know that child. You don't know that person. I mean, once you get to know them, it's one thing, but you don't just all of a sudden just start hugging kids, I guess.
You know, it's pretty weird how, like, a lot of agencies nowadays, it's like, when it comes to letting you hug children, half the time, like, they won't even let you. And then, like, but then whenever that child is about to commit suicide, you try to, like, call up the hotline and try to say, oh, I'm getting my child some help. And then by the time that they talk to the child and try to prevent her, it's already too late, you know? She's already depressed or got to the point where she couldn't handle it. Which is what, like, I was a little confused. It's like, if you know that the child needs some intimacy to the point where she felt like she needs you, then just might as well give her a hug. It should be a big deal. Like, that's what I just don't, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, I don't understand about some places where you're not allowed to hug. Unless, like, for example, like, some of them actually say the reason why we don't allow hugging is because there's certain predators out in the society. I was like, how is that you're supposed to be having, how is that there's predators out there who's trying to, like, harm children when in reality they know that children, they love you and they need it. And I even noticed, so let's move a little bit further into other domains. Like, counseling or psychotherapy is that I noticed that, like even in Sigmund Freud, how he does his work. Yeah, so he always the way how he say that people are mentally ill is because they have what we call sexual urges, which makes me have to ask questions about why or how in the world is a person sick when he or she has like a sexual urge, and if you don't like learn those stuff at a particular age, or someone disrupts that learning cycle, you end up becoming ill. Which
Well, the thing is, I don't think they necessarily diagnose. I mean, I know they say that, having a sexual urge for a child or having a sexual urge for something like that is a mental illness. But what they're not really disclosing is the fact that the mental illness isn't being attracted to that one group. The mental illness is having your thoughts and ideas of physical intimacy tainted. And that's what the real mental illness is that there's a misplacement of their perception of a normal and healthy intimate relationship in that person. And so when that happens,
that's exactly, Gerald. But like that's the thing that I tried asking Sigmund Freud, but half the time when I read through his works, like I felt like he didn't answer my question. Any ideas, Mike? Since you're a fan of Sigmund Freud.
Well, actually, I was a fan of Carl Jung. Really, that's who I first started with when it came to psychology. And it wasn't until I got a Akashic Records reading where they said, you worked with Sigmund Freud and Dr. Joseph Breuer in a past life. So that's really where it came from. And as far as Sigmund Freud, basically there's the sexual theory, the iceberg, and that people have either these sexual urges or repressed memories, or just, if something gets stored in the back of their mind, sometimes they will, like if you've ever heard someone say, I can give for an example, you're talking to someone who's about to be your girlfriend or something, or you're about to pursue a relationship with this person, and you answer the phone or something, and you guys get into a conversation, then all of a sudden you say, say you're talking to Rebecca, and this is the person you're going to pursue a relationship with, but you're still getting over and healing from a previous relationship that maybe didn't end the way, didn't end the way you thought it would, or whatever. So you're talking and you want to pursue a relationship with Rebecca, but you say, okay, and I really enjoy talking to you, Stephanie, and it just comes out of nowhere. Then I'm sorry, Rebecca. That's what they call a Freudian slip. It's parts of the subconscious and unconscious that comes out certain times when you kind of slip words that, and sometimes you think they don't have any meaning. And sometimes if you look deeper, they're stored somewhere in the unconscious or subconscious, as Sigmund Freud put it. So that's just one example.
And so
They call Freudian slip.
But what does that have to do with what Andy was previously speaking about, which was the mental state or people diagnosing?
Okay. No, I'm sorry. I thought you were just asking about concepts of Sigmund Freud.
Because I knew that Sigmund Freud, somewhere in his theories, he did mention something about mental disorders on there. But then that sounds like a little misconception of what mental health is. Because the thing is you can say, for example, I'm shy, and you can say I have a mental illness, or if I say I'm overly happy or overly hyperactive, you can also call that mental illness. However, what about if I say that's none of that is mental illness? They're just something normal inside of us. Then next thing you know, like some psychologists, they would look at you and say, "Are you thinking in my school, or are you thinking? Are you talking in a different language?"
I see. Well, the thing you have to realize is that these theories, a lot of what is in, psychiatrics is a theory based on working with different examples of human behavior, but human behavior is changing and evolving as we grow as a species. So it's constantly changing. I mean, pedophilia is something that's been going on for years, but if you think about it, back in medieval times, it's actually considered appropriate for someone who was 58 to be dating someone who was 15. That would be his new wife. I mean, that was something that was allowed back then. So you have to realize that this is also, you know, just as you said, how can someone say that this is a mental illness? Or how is this a mental illness? Our society has now labeled something that technically used to be considered commonplace a mental illness just within the last, century. So you never know. Tomorrow it could be found that it's not a mental illness. They're just douchebags. You never know. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that out live. I'm so sorry. But tomorrow you can find out that they're just bad people.
No, that's
and
what
it's
you
not
wanted to say.
In fact, don't worry. In fact, this show is actually dedicated to those not only just teenagers or children, but actually most of the people who watch my show are a bunch of social workers or psychologists. So I'm pretty much pointing out to them what's going on here also. So that's nothing new.
Are you talking about your
Channel.
community center?
Yeah, community center and Educare, the Spiritus Healing Center also. They're both dedicated to social workers, psychologists, even children.
Okay, but I'm saying because that was our idea. Educare Spiritus Center was something we both put together.
And the thing is like whenever I look at how Sigmund Freud does his theories, and I at first look at him, I had to ask myself, to what extent does a sexual urge considered like dictates our behavior? For example, let's put it simply that way.
Oh, how to what level our sexual urges dictate our behavior?
Yeah, it's like I'm talking about in Sigmund Freud's perspective, because the thing is, he always say that you have to that in order for you to be a well-developed adult, you have to first learn how to. You're going through this oral stage where you have to learn to attach to your parents, and then eventually you get to the point where you say, you know what, I forget about all this. I'm going to bond with something else.
You're talking about psychosexual development?
Yeah.
Oh. There's a lot of stages in that.
Like that doesn't seem to make any sense to me. Sigmund Freud, like every time whenever I talk about his theories, I was like, can anyone explain this to me? Because I don't understand. But when it comes to like other theories, like for example, Adler's theory, or
that's what it's the libido.
Libido.
That's what Sigmund Freud called it. It's like a way of describing the sexual urge, but call it like psychic energy, in the sense of just strong sexual energy called the libido.
Okay.
And everyone has a libido and expresses it to the degree that that they can, but it's only when it's repressed that it begins to show in other, like if people that, like for even, Sigmund Freud grew up in the Victorian era, so sexuality was really something that was repressed. So you see a lot of his theories come to be based on the sexual theory, because you know a lot of it was repressed. So the more that it's repressed, the more that it begins to kind of pop out like a pop-up book. You know, it begins to show itself. Because I believe every human being, unless you're, you know, like Sheldon Cooper from The Big Bang Theory, or you're asexual, has these urges, you know, to some degree. So maybe more so than others, but.
I was just gonna say, I think some people have that tuned into those urges and actually have those urges dictate their behaviors more than others.
Oh yeah, totally.
So what is your take on this, Deanna? Because the thing is when it comes to Sigmund Freud, I have no idea how the sexuality played a role in our personality, other than the fact that the more you repress something, the more it starts surfacing. Oh, okay, never mind. All right, so
Deanna said no, no, no.
like here's another side of the story is that when it comes to another form of therapy, I found out that even cognitive behavioral therapy, like the way how they do things, is like this. First off, you have a faulty thinking, and the goal of me is to show you how is it a faulty thinking. If it doesn't make sense to you, and you weigh out the options, you have to get rid of that thinking. Which is almost another way of saying if I prove you wrong, you have to get rid of your thoughts, which doesn't work the same way in clients, because the problem is that form of therapy is like you're playing a game of elimination, and that's the problem. Is a lot of therapy nowadays, even psychology, like the way how they develop their theories, I half the time either A, I've seen a lot of clients where they start feeling like they drank out, or B, they almost felt like as though they're not getting their problem solved, or they're not going to be able to solve their problem, so they end up giving up therapy. So, like, I wonder, what would you do in this scenario, Michael? Is like half the time that happens, especially like when someone go to a psychoanalyst or even a counselor. Half the time they felt drained. Any ideas on how to help people with anxiety or anything?
Totally. That was, I think, a lot of Sigmund Freud's work. There was, you know, hysteria, different types of mental, you know, illnesses, if you want to call them that, or, you know, that people had. And his whole thing is he wanted to help cure his neurotic patients. But, you know, that was back then. And not to say that Reiki wasn't around then or such, but we just have basically, from, you know, from what I've studied about psychology, is that, you know, the different methods like free association, talking it out, hypnosis, you know, different, you know, past life regression. We've evolved, and even a lot of the New Age and self-help books, and a lot of books in the New Age section and such have so many methods, and these may not be classified, you know, by psychologists as, you know, effective methods, but I believe these are all aiming to do the same thing, to achieve a state of peace, and to relieve stress, to relieve anxiety, you know, as much as possible. And so these are, I'd say that it's only evolved. These alternative healings have evolved so much, you know, from, just, inviting someone into an office and,
But
saying, all
then,
right, let's talk about it,
here's another thing, Michael. It's
which is
like
very
now,
effective.
like,
God
like here.
fucking damn it.
Okay, here's what I need to ask you guys to help me evaluate on the effect. Is that I don't know about you, Jenna, but I keep hearing people how even life coaches and nowadays, when that profession first came out like 10 years ago, they say that they can be able to help you end your anxiety or your depression or anything like within just 1 hour. Versus a therapist, sometimes you have to work like a month to even a year to actually get rid of your anxiety, which doesn't make any sense to me. Like, how do they do it?
That doesn't make any sense to me either. That doesn't sound real. Like, I'm not gonna lie, because life coaches, the whole point of their thing is to get you to pay by hours, so they would want you to keep talking to them. They would want you to need them for longer also. So it sounds
Okay, I
kind of
know
just
how
like
to
a
answer
sales
this.
gimmick, but
Okay. What about you, Deanna? Since you were once a life coach and you once go to therapy before, so it shouldn't be that hard.
Like Jenna was saying, how they want you paid by the hour, I think what they do in practice is that they only give you so much within an hour to keep you coming back to get more advice, because they don't want you to be like, oh hey, my problem's fixed and I don't need you anymore. They don't want that. They want you to keep coming to them. So that's part of like what they use to lure you in. Now, however, when I do it, like since I do it like I don't do it for money, I do it just out of the kindness of my heart, and whenever someone actually needs it. Like the thing, like I think the root cause behind life coaching I think the root cause and why people need it is because some it's because sometimes the wrong people get lost, and sometimes the right people get lost, and everyone gets lost at some point. And originally, what life coaching is supposed to do is to guide the person where they need to go. So, like, if you're lost and you're like, I can't decide, should I do this or should I do this? Should I listen to this person? Should I listen to that person? When you're caught in between two decisions that are impartial to your life at that very time, you need someone to coach you along, and you need someone to say, oh, hey, if you do this, it will benefit you, but if you do this, it won't benefit you as much and might lead you in the wrong direction.
Right. And so, Deanna, like, here's the thing. I noticed is that when I actually checked out the website for life coaching and how is it different from counseling, like, guys, help me correct this if I'm wrong, or even, like, add on to this, is that when I checked over the website, I found out that they say that coaching is almost like you're helping people picture out different possibilities of the same problem. That means, suppose I have anxiety and I come to a life coach. A life coach would say, what do you want to do with your, what do you picture yourself from your anxiety right now to how many years later down the road? And
You
then,
see, that's
then I will have to like figure out like, what do I want, and who am I, what I want to do, and how is that I'm going to get there to a person who no longer experiences anxiety and I can be happy.
you see
Versus,
that's
versus like,
where I
versus
do.
Good,
like,
Dan.
versus, this is what I found. When I talk to a counselor, they say, so, what are you feeling right now? Are you doing better? Like, it's almost like, it's more of like probing into the emotions more often, and more like you're dwelling into someone's past and saying, are you, how is that you're different right now? I always have to explain myself constantly,
You see,
and
that's what I do differently. You see, while most people are asking you a million questions about your past, because depression is where you live in the past and you can't forgive your own past, and anxiety is where you worry about the future. So what I do when I'm helping someone out is I'm asking them what's making you anxious? Why are you anxious? Are you scared that something will happen again? Or are you scared of what might come? Because the root cause of anxiety is you're just scared of the future. You're scared what will happen. And what I find it really fucked is that most life coaches, they're like, well, where do you see yourself in the future? That used to send me to absolute panic attacks, because whenever someone, like, I think the worst thing you can say to a person with anxiety is, where do you see yourself 10 years from now? I think that's the worst thing you can ask a person. Because if they're already scared about the future, what makes you think that they'll want to think about where they'll be 10 years from now? For all they know, they would be a hobo.
But like that's the thing that I see a lot of weaknesses regarding life coaches is that
Anxiety, you have to live in the now.
exactly like the problem is it's not the future, it's not the past, it's the present moment that they're going through, and that the problem a lot of times life coaches do is that they were trained to actually do this stuff, and I was a little angry. Like I was like, if a life coach should also look in the past. Should also look towards how should we help that client towards the future. But most importantly, what is that person right now? Who are you right now?
You
then
can heal by like time traveling though.
time traveling is very good. The thing is when you start traveling too far.
I think the thing with time traveling is when you stay there, you know.
No, that's not really. But basically, that is something that we can learn from most of the professions. Is that here's what I learned from this conversation right now. Although I had to stop the broadcast right now. Sorry if I had to do it. But what I found out about most of the healing modalities, from therapy and recreation, which is the job that I'm doing, occupational therapy, psychology, life coaching, naturopathic doctors, even medical doctors. The key thing is look for the root cause. It's that plain simple. And learn and help the client find the possibilities to reach towards you have to have faith in your client. You have to have faith that they can recover. They can do whatever they want. And that they are normal human beings. Their reactions are normal because they're afraid. That abnormal reactions to abnormal situations are normal.
True.
And that the thing is that if you want your clients to recover, see them today as normal. That they just somehow, like, something stands in their way. The moment that you teach them that, oh, I'm going to make you do this or do that, instead of doing this because you don't have that much time to live anymore, that's the moment you just motivate your clients. Like, there's a lot of things. Like, I wonder what else did you guys learn from this talk? Because the thing is, I've learned a lot about how we should be doing our healing practices, even Reiki.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of interesting and beautiful perspectives on matter. So.
So, any last words before you want to
Jenna was going to say something.
How did you know? That's creepy.
I know, right? Because he's a creeper like that. Just kidding.
No, I was just going to say, I actually learned a little bit more about Sigmund Freud. I know you tried to go into it a little bit more detail, Andy, but we didn't have time. All in all, I think we very generally went through different forms of holistic, like what is it, alternative medicine. I think we could actually like go into detail a little bit more with it, though. That's what I wanted to say. I feel like we could talk about this for like even longer. Like you could do another one about it, and then another different.
Oh, okay. Then I guess I'll do another one next week.